Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Razak at CMtrading. Today is April 7, 2021, and today is Wednesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the euro surprising everyone and changing character and gaining versus the USD. We're going to take a look at that in just a second. But first, looking at the major economic events of the day, just one event at 9 p.m. South African time. Out of United States, we have an FOMC meeting minutes. That's in relation to the last Fed rate decision. Now, looking at the Forex symbols, the euro continues to gain versus the dollar. Take a look at that in just a second, but the other major pairs really falter. Now, looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ pretty much unchanged from its all-time highs. In terms of the commodities, gold continues to push higher, while oil is unchanged. In terms of the stocks, tapering off on lower volume, really trading sideways. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin, continue to showing resilience, okay, showing some strength there as well. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So let's jump straight into it. The Euro USD at 4-hour chart. Yesterday, we were trading at about 1790-ish level, right around this area. And we had a big surge upwards and breaking that 1828. That's really the point where you start looking at it and saying, hey, this is really taking off. And this is exactly what happened. So from our lows of 1790 up to 1873, that's about an 80 pip move. But you could have taken out of it about 50 pips after it broke this resistance-ish area. Okay, so with that said, it'd be interesting to see if it's going to retrace here, as this was previous support, maybe subsequent resistance at this level of 1828-ish level. So keep that in mind, 1872-ish level. Keep that in mind into today's trading. Now, when we look at the other major pairs, they didn't go higher versus the USD. We're taking a look here at the Aussie Dollar and the GBP, both actually down, okay? And the GBP was the stronger one. So you're seeing a rotation in the markets once again, where the euro, which was relatively weak versus the dollar, is now becoming much stronger, and the GBP is now changing character and becoming weaker, okay? It could be just a one-day event, but keep this in mind, as this is going to be foregoing later this week. Now, looking at gold, all right, this is something interesting right here. 1739, as we pushed up higher, we were trading around this 1728-ish level yesterday, but pushing higher here, we're at that upper limit of 1748, just about 10 points away from that. So something to consider if we do retrace around these areas. Now, nothing is going on in the price of oil, okay? It's in a very tight range. If you look at a 1-hour chart, that is really very difficult to trade. However, looking at the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ, also trading sideways. If we look at a 1-hour chart, okay, yesterday we had a little bit of a rally and then tapering off about 70 points, but all intents and purposes, look at how tight that is. That is what I could call tight range. Looking at the NASDAQ also tapering off here after that surge upwards. So see if that continuation is going to happen. We're going to have a correctional move later today. Now, looking at the stocks that are reflective of these indices, they're unchanged. Okay, Microsoft yesterday didn't do much. Okay, tapering off about $2, but really not anything. Okay, Facebook also just tapering off a little bit at 304, not really doing much either. Okay, so things are tapering off. Okay, now we are getting into April. May historically is a sell-off month. Okay, the term goes sell in May and go away. Okay, as major fund and financial institutions go on vacation for the summer. And maybe this summer will be a little bit early, as people are getting out of COVID and really just want to let loose. And, after, a year and a half of lockdowns and closures and no traveling, this might be a year where things actually start out early. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, we're seeing some resilience here, although it did not break higher than that 59.627, it does look like it's still trading in that upper range, the upper range, with a relatively tight range. Okay, in the upper range, 59.627, that's your resistance, and on the lower range, okay, at 57,642, and we're right there. Okay, so it's in a relatively tight range for Bitcoin, and it'd be interesting to see if it continues to consolidate in this area and possibly get a breakout at some point. Okay, it's not going to give it to you all at one time, but that is something to consider and keep an eye out for development there. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.